What's up, guys? Welcome to another Tuesday tip. Today, I wanted to talk to y'all about rest times. It's something I get a lot of questions about. It's actually something my opinions greatly shifted on over the years. So I figured I'd kind of tell y'all what I've arrived at this point in my training journey, and let y'all take it for what it is. Rest times. What are we doing when we're resting? We're recovering from the set that we did before, right? Obviously, duh, Hunter. But how long do we need to recover from that? And it comes down to really understanding what you're doing whenever you're doing like a really hard, intense working set to failure. You're doing a couple things. A, you're jacking your heart rate up. B, you're causing an oxygen deficit in the muscle, anaerobic exercise. That's what we're doing. We're not doing aerobic exercise, we're doing anaerobic exercise. And then B, obviously, you have the muscle firing, producing all kind of byproduct, waste product, lactic acid, etc., that it needs to buffer. So in a strictly hypertrophy-based setting, we want to make sure that we kind of get all of those factors as baseline as possible. So in my experience, the best rest time that I've arrived at is, between 3 to 5 minutes between top sets. That being said, much more important than the time in my book is kind of, paying attention to some factors. While you're training, your heart rate's never going to normalize, or at least it shouldn't unless you're taking 20-minute breaks in between sets. What will normalize, though, is your rate of respiration or how much you're breathing. Definitely want to wait in between your working sets until your breathing rate normalizes. That's a very good indicator that you've replaced that oxygen deficit. And then it's obviously your breathing replaced the oxygen deficit. B, obviously your heart rate's jacked through the roof when you complete a working set. Mine will get upwards of 160, 170 beats per minute, especially on leg days. We want that to return to baseline as it is like an exercise baseline. Once you get moving, once you're exercising, once you've done your warm-up sets, mine typically hangs out 115, 120 beats a minute. Typically want to kind of let it get down to there before I send another working set. Finally, obviously I talked about letting your muscles recover from the work that they did. You don't want to go when they're still screaming at you. There's a big difference between having a pump and then having your muscles just straight hurting because they're buffering all the lactic acids you just caused from the set before. So those are the three factors that I kind of pay attention to. Like I said, I will say why my thought process has shifted on it over the years. Obviously, I'm really big on intensity with my training, and in my mind, a way to make intensity greater was to reduce rest time. So, it was in my mind, a useful tool to make my workouts more intense. Well, as time went on and, I developed a better training knowledge and my training age increased, I kind of realized that the only thing that I'm doing by decreasing those rest periods are, keeping my heart rate up a lot higher, but I'm keeping myself at a sub-maximal work capacity. I'm never able to do as much as I was able to do if I rested properly in between sets, obviously. So, why do it at all? I think people associate that increased intensity with the decreased rest periods with the fact that it'll get them harder, especially in a pre-contest setting when, like I said, understanding in context is everything. When all you're really doing is you just made your training session go from something that, your heart rate's, here up to here. You basically just increased your energy expenditure. Is it going to burn more calories? Yes. Will it help you get in shape? Yes. Is it optimal? No. You're going to burn up tissue, and you're not going to be able to make progress in the gym as late into prep as you would be. So, like I said, that's how my thought process has shifted on it in recent years. But yeah, so that's what I would recommend in a nutshell for resting times in between your working sets is 3 to 5 minutes. There's exceptions to everything. If you're training arms, you might not need more than a minute, minute and a half for, all three of those factors to really get their boxes checked. The breathing rate, the heart rate, and, the lactic acid buffering. But, on something like a hack squat, I'll finish my top set of hacks and you have to scrape me off the floor 5 minutes later. So, it's all dependent on what you're doing. Like I said, much more important than the time spent resting is, your body actually being able to recover from what you're doing to it during your working sets. So, if you enjoyed this Tuesday tip, be sure to subscribe so you can get notified when future ones drop. As always, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, feedback, prayer requests, whatever, leave them in the comments. We do read them. We do check them out. So, yeah. And as always, appreciate y'all following along. See y'all next Tuesday.